Am I correct, Miss
That's
Shannon?
correct. That's correct.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to get her name wrong. She may get pissed off.
Don't call her something else.
Yeah, you never mispronounce a woman's name.
I can tell you're a grown man.
Ah. I don't want to
Okay.
get her name wrong. She may get pissed off. Okay, okay. Hello, got you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Public Affairs Public Access, where tonight we are asking the question, what disaster is going down in your neighborhood? My name is Staci Davis, and I'm your host tonight. I'm joined on the Zoom chat by Danny Snead. Danny Snead is a case manager for U.S. Veterans Affairs. He's known as the Encourager, and he also works with Path to Freedom Ministry and St. John's Downtown Prison Ministry. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Hello,
We
everybody.
also, hey, we also have Stephanie Saint Sanchez. She is a filmmaker and comedian. She's the founder of La Chicana Laundry Films. She's got over 30 films under her belt. She's also created Senora Cinema, the first all Latina film festival. She works with QFest, an international LGBTQ film festival. Welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for coming to the program.
Oh, you're welcome. Good to be here.
Nice to have you. So we had Hurricane Laura come through. Didn't really touch Houston that much, but that doesn't mean that there's not chaos and disaster going on all around us. Danny, I want you to start us off. Let us know, please. What's going on? What kind of disasters are going on in your neighborhood?
Well, you know what? Hurricane Laura was a big disappointment. I stayed up all night. I prepared for her. I really was like preparing to meet her with open arms and welcome her to Houston, Texas. I got home and put my trash cans in the garage, and I was on my neighbor. You need to put that trash can up. It's a projectile. It could kill someone. And I was just really preparing for this huge storm. I had my flashlights, all my batteries charged up, all my phones. And I was like in the bed like this, I know it's coming. I'm just waiting. And the next thing I know, I had fell asleep and I woke up and I heard birds chirping. I said, can't be a bird chirping. I opened up the blinds and the sun just blinded me. I said, what is going on? Where is Laura? Total disappointment. So I cut the news on. I'm like, what happened? Like, I was supposed to not have to go to work today. I got to go to work. I can't even call in. If it would have just rained a little bit, if I would just saw the streets wet, I wasn't going to work. But it was the most beautiful day I've seen all year in 2020. It was an awesome day. I don't know. I, 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 I just had to start thinking about the people that were really being affected. The only way I could get involved and get into the hurricane disaster mode and thinking and the panic mode, I had to watch the news and watch someone else go through something. And then I really realized that though it wasn't happening to me, I had enough empathy and compassion to understand not everybody woke up to birds chirping. And so mixed feelings, elation, I got to go to work. Like that's a hard thing to do when you prepare for a hurricane, the worst condition, you got to go to a job. And I got a job where you work with heroes, veterans that are transitioning from homelessness and substance abuse. So it didn't take me long to get excited about going to a job that's really not a job. It's more like a vocation. I digress.
And Stephanie, tell us a little bit about what disasters are going on in your world.
Well, I gotta tell you, I mean, it's like, we've grown up around hurricanes. Like, if you're like Gulf Coast, ride or die from the jump. I've lived here all my life, so I'm used to the hurricanes. I remember sometimes they're a good time, the hurricane parties and stuff. I believe what is 1980. I wrote out Alicia. I was a little kid, and I had a really cool uncle, Silvano. He's like, hey, the sky's purple and pink and green. Get the kids. Let's go check it out on the roof. Stuff like that. I mean, he had a drinking problem, but I mean, still, he was a great uncle. So we're up there enjoying the coolest sky we've ever seen, and not really understanding why we're supposed to take a bath at 3:00 in the morning. But it was an adventure when you're a kid. Our parents did a really good job of not freaking us out. Like protecting us from how scary it could be. And then some of them have been disappointments. Some of them have taken my house, like Harvey. I used to live in the city in the East End. My house got ruined by Harvey. Now I fled to the suburbs of Tejas.
Okay, Tay.
Tay. So here I am in Katy, and thinking that, oh, everything's really boring. It's the suburbs, but things have been pretty crazy over here. Just the other day, I was driving before gathering my supplies. I'm driving and I noticed something very strange. And I'm since I'm a filmmaker, I'm on the quick with my camera, my phone, and I was like, slow down, I got to catch this. And I think we have the footage, and I wanted to share it to get your opinion, because it's 2020, so nothing's really I'm not surprised at anything anymore, but sometimes there are things that you're like, okay, wait a minute, this is a little too much. All right, let's see if we got it. Check it out, guys.
Can you describe it? Can you describe it for those of us that can't see it?
Well, well, it looks like there's an alien abducting a small child.
Oh,
Right in broad daylight. And
Was
here's the thing: the kid is using is on the cell phone, so it's probably watching, Max and Ruby or some other children's show instead of asking for help, and instead of calling the Coast Guard or the Space Force. This kid's just looking up YouTube videos. That's 2020, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell. I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting for them. The Beam Me Up Scotty. I mean, if they're friendly, I love it, but I got a feeling they're going to be like all insect-like and real, real freaky. So, I mean, eat your chips while you can, because they're coming. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm wondering if that's on the bingo card. So if aliens come on a certain month, and we get all the squares for 2020, do we get a toaster? It's kind of what I'm wondering.
We're the toaster. We're the toast, really.
So the toaster is you get to live?
Yeah, that's the toaster. But speaking of hurricanes, I was talking to some friends, and they had also stocked up for hurricane snacks. Because they thought they were gonna have to hunker down, and I guess I hang out with very superstitious people because they believe that you have to eat all your hurricane snacks within the 48-hour period, or you're inviting another hurricane. So these people are making the ultimate sacrifice. That's a lot of goldfish and a lot of rum.
Yeah.
If you have children, of course.
Well, and Danny, back to something you said before, that if it was just a little bit wet on the ground, you would have called in sick. These days, that's really all it takes. It only has to rain now in Houston for a good hard rain for about 15 minutes, and I-45 is underwater in certain areas, especially over by the north side. So, I mean, what's the deal? And we just had one of our big developers, Hines, die. Why are we lauding him? Isn't that the guy that made us into a swimming pool? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Wow. I still have PTSD from Harvey. Let me tell you my Harvey story. Since Laura didn't want to show up, she didn't want to date me. She just stood me up. She didn't show up. So Harvey, I'm kind of person, like when it's a storm, like Ike, I was making cinnamon rolls. I actually had cinnamon rolls in the oven as Ike was coming through. Lived downtown right across from Minute Maid. So as Ike was coming through and street signs were coming down the street, I was peeking out the door because I had never experienced a hurricane. And I didn't want to just experience it in my room like this here under the covers. I want to see it. Like, I don't know what I was going to see, but I wanted to see it. So when you see a hurricane, you just see a bunch of stuff flying everywhere. And that's basically what a hurricane is. It's like strong wind, and the things that normally don't bend, they bend. And you're like, oh, that is cool. Look at that. It's a pole that's bending and it's not breaking. And so I'm upstairs. I got the cinnamon rolls in the oven, and the lights never went off. We never lost electricity. That's Ike. I'm just watching things roll downtown. As soon as Ike was over with, I started walking downtown, like right down Main Street, and all the windows had shattered. It was glass everywhere, but it was beautiful because the water and the glass, it was shimmering, and there was no people out there. It was a post-apocalyptic. I felt like I was in a Mel Gibson movie. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I'm the last man on earth. I'm the sole survivor in Houston, Texas. Nobody else survived but me.
Well, I know Stephanie will remember this, but back in the 80s, Houston was like that every day. That's what downtown Houston was like. There was nobody there ever.
Yeah.
And that changed.
Well, that would have been the time to scoop up that real estate.
Yeah.
Could have kicked myself.
If only I was doing more than working at a deli at the time.
Boy. But still, still on the subject of hurricanes, I wanted to share this story. Okay, so I'm actually originally from Beaumont. So when I heard that Laura was going to hit Beaumont, aka the 409, aka the BMT, aka the Big B, Shout outs. I was concerned for my peeps. Um, and unfortunately, my ancestral home has been, got messed up by the last hurricane, and so they just decided to sell it because nobody was living there anymore. So I heard that it was flattened like a pancake, which, is an experience I might go visit and, pour one out for the old girl. 285 Garland, by the way, if you want to go check it out, Garland Avenue. But so in Beaumont, every October, they used to have something called the Southeast Texas State Fair. Now, excuse me, whenever I talked about Beaumont, I developed the twang that I used to have. So you would say like, cut off the light, stuff like that. So they had this ride called the Hurricane, which is in poor, questionable taste at best. Now that I'm an adult, but it was you sat in the car and it went around really fast, and then it raised you up,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it
yeah.
dropped you, right?
Cool ride.
Yeah, and every car had the name of a hurricane and the year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like I want to ride Carla, you know. Anyway, that's another story altogether. Person in Carla, I miss you. However, but so there was the ride the hurricane, and I just remember that so boldly. Like I guess that's what it would be like to actually be, you know, all up in a hurricane. It's similar to just being and frozen. Um, but when we did Ike, I got to tell you that you know how people always talk about like, oh, Houston, we're really cool. We're as far as like we look out for each other, our neighbors and things like that. That Southern hospitality that we do have. And it is true. Because when Ike was coming, I was over there at the Fiesta Mart over by Wayside at the liquor store. Just
I know that
browsing.
place.
Um, and I will say this, I saw the kindest thing. I saw two men who you wouldn't have thought would have been best friends, but it was a person who was obviously brand new to the country, had spoke very broken English, and his buddy was telling him, okay, we're gonna need this and this. And he's like, all right. So he was schooling him on how to ride out a hurricane. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. God bless Texas.
Yeah. So
Well,
So
go ahead, Leonard. I mean, Danny.
so talking about losses during the hurricane, Harvey was like the world was like ended in Houston. And it was very rare that national news is part of your life in real time. But we became national news, like in real time. The world was like, everybody was watching Houston. Ike had nothing. Ike was like a slumber party compared to Harvey. And again, here I was again. I wasn't cooking this time, but I was outside. And the water, I had never seen flooding in my neighborhood. So Harvey's coming in, the wind is blowing. I got the screen door open. I'm peeking out because I'm thinking Harvey, the wind is so strong that it could blow a pine needle through my eye. That's what I'm thinking.
You mean Ike?
No, Harvey.
Oh, Harvey.
Ike was a cupcake dinner compared to Harvey. Man, Harvey was not playing. Ike a punk. Harvey is a gorilla. So the water is rising in the street. It kept rising. And I had this 18 big long line up there. I'm looking at her and with a tail, is there water near my tailpipe? Like I kind of know that water not there. So I go outside, and so when you go outside in flooding water, I don't really like my feet in water. Like I don't like my socks and shoes wet and all that. Squishy. So I'm walking out there and I get the squishy, and I'm like, I want to go back, but I see the water close to my tailpipe. So I go out to my car and I'm inspecting the water going down the street. I'm saying like, hey, it's not good. It's like it's trying to go in my car. Like that's not supposed to happen. Like water not supposed to go in your car. It can flood, but it's supposed to stop at a certain level. And as I'm out there, it started raining. So my umbrella turned up inside out. And so when it turned inside out, I try to drape it around me. So I'm getting soaked, and I noticed the water's raising. I literally saw it get close to my tailpipe, and I panicked. And I said, help. I started screaming, help, help. And I went to the back of the car, and I thought about the lady that lifted the car for her kids. And I tried to think about, how did she do that? How did she lift that car up them kids? I know I can do this. I literally felt like I could lift this car up and set it on the sidewalk. So I got behind it, and I was like, I tried to lift it, and I couldn't. And I started crying because the water was going in my tailpipe. And I tried to open the car door. I ran back in the house and got the keys. I said, I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna move my car in flood water, right?
Yeah.
So I go out there, I hit the button, and it don't work. It's no power. I couldn't open the doors. I am in a panic mode, and I'm screaming for the neighbors to help me. It's a hurricane going through my car, and just watching. I just stayed out there and Cadillac, and in the house soaking wet. My car, the water, it just was. It was days of my life to watch my car drown, and I could not save it. I digress.
That's a shame.
It's
Have you
like
heard
Jack
heard
and
of
Rose
when
on the Titanic, right there? Stayed with it till the end. That's beautiful and sad.
Yeah, you're a good car owner, but at least your car didn't cry, because sometimes the cars, when they get flooded with water, they start the horns go off.
Yeah.
And they sort of go like that for a while. And when like 45 is flooding, and you see 5 or 6 people with their cars happen. This is in like an hour's worth of rain. I've seen this happen. And it's always the foreigner people. It's always people trying to get to the airport that aren't from Houston, that are driving down there, and they all get stuck because they don't know,
The feeders.
But when their cars are dying, they're all wailing at the same time. The horns are going off, and then they start slowing down, and they'll like go, eh.
Oh my God. They die slowly.
Oh. It's true.
Horrible. They drown. They drown.
And they scream. They scream for mercy.
Oh my gosh.
It's a sad thing. So what about what's going on though with Laura in the places where Laura has hit? How bad is the damage? I haven't seen that much about it. What's going on with the people that are affected?
Well, I started, I kept up with the news like all night, and because, you're looking for that money shot. There's going to be someone who's got that amazing shot of like something crazy. And they keep on showing the same thing. It looks like it's I guess it's like the side of a hotel or a skyscraper. And it's just like a piece of a window flies off, and someone goes, "Oh no." And I've just seen that so many times.
They loop it. Yeah,
it's just been looped. And that's really the last I've seen. Because like I said, most people that I know are in Beaumont, and it kind of curved more towards Lake Charles, in that area. So I really haven't seen as much footage as I thought I would, or reports. I think everybody was concentrated over here. All the news people were over here.
Yeah.
And it was over there. So they used that word unsurvivable, though. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
How they said this surge will be unsurvivable. And I'm sure that scared the shit out of. I was scared some people. Pardon me.
Well, if there was a storm surge, that's kind of there's 3 things that you watch for in a hurricane. You got, massive flooding like you had in Harvey. You have a wind event like you had with Ike. And we haven't really experienced what ProPublica did a big study on, especially with the Ship Channel, which is, a serious storm surge. A serious storm surge coming up the Ship Channel would be devastating, but we just haven't seen anything like that happening. So that would be more like like a tidal wave, basically, kind of like
Yeah.
a tidal wave. The
Yeah.
water just comes in, it keeps on coming, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And we were going to build the Ike Dike, and we were going to build certain things like they built in Louisiana to try to keep that water out in the case of a storm surge, but we haven't managed to build it yet. So we dodged the bullet this time. Who knows, if we're going to have anything ready when we really do get a storm surge. Yeah. And
I
it would
think
be
that
unsurvivable.
I think that word unsurvivable was something they thought about psychologically to motivate people to not take the risk to think that they're going to wake up hearing birds chirping like I did this morning. And, that's what they feel. People saying, what about the last time we did all that evacuating? We bought all the batteries, we put the trash cans in the garage like I did, and you wake up and nothing. And so I think that they want to motivate people to don't take the chance and die when you don't have to die. Just leave and you can always come back.
Right. Right. And of course they didn't know. I don't know, Stephanie, maybe you've been through enough hurricanes and you've grown up here. Do you feel like you get a sixth sense, with the hurricanes? Like you kind of know, oh, this is going to be one that's going to hit us. This is going to be a bad one. This is going to be this nothing. Do you feel? I kind of feel like I kind of know. That's probably the last thought I'll have.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, I'm like I said, it's all bets are off because it's 2020 to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't even trust my intuition or, seriously. So I'd rather go above and beyond and look foolish than not have done anything and,
Right.
and been in a bad situation. I'm trying to remember which one. I think it was after Rita, there was another one, or maybe it was Rita, where it was called the Texodus. One had hit real bad, and so all of a sudden, the next one that came, everybody was trying to get out of town, and
Yeah, that
and
was Rita.
I guess that was Rita, and so everybody was like, the freeways were all blocked and congested, and because they hadn't, you know, dealt with that yet, and we ended up going to, I think, Fort Worth, all the way to Fort Worth with the cat and all that, and grandma and grandpa. I mean, we weren't going to joke around, and it was all right, but so after that, I mean, that was above and beyond, really. I mean, because I think we were worse for being in the car that long with all them people than we would have been if we would have just stuck it out, honestly. Um, but you never know. I mean, you really don't. You really don't.
Right.
'Cause even at the last minute, it could be like, oh, by the way, it decided to take a left.
Right.
God just said, you know,
One,
or I mean, or the Russian weather controlling machine that they have that I've been reading about. Just kidding. I'm not reading about that.
so
Just kidding. Just
so
kidding.
so one of the images I'll never forget is after the Harvey, and it was weeks later. I think I was on North McGregor, South McGregor. They go both ways, right? That's the one that has the little bayou in between North
Yeah.
McGregor and South McGregor. When people had their whole homes stacked up in piles in front of their houses, I just like I videotaped it, right? So I got my phone and I'm driving and I'm getting the footage of how I went down in front of every home. There was a pile of everything they own. And it's a middle class neighborhood. So you see all this nice furniture, the wood, not the cheap stuff like I got, from the metal fab stuff that that as soon as you bump it, you know what I'm saying, it pulls apart. These got the good big 4-post beds and all this nice furniture, and it's stacked up high. And I'm saying, like, wow, man, that's things they probably had for 50 years, 30 years, all their heirlooms and stuff that you just can't ever replace with an income check. I mean, an insurance check. And it was again, I like movies that are post-apocalyptic, like if the world ended, those type of movies, like how would you survive if things just crash? I was like, uh-oh, it's movie time. It's like, and action. Like I'm in the movie. I'm in that movie. And watching the boats, people being rescued, and the water was up to the red light. You remember that? This, like, how do water get to the red light, and what sustained it? I'm like, is it a fishbowl? Like, where's the sides at? The red light's there, but how did the water maintain its size to get this far from where it goes red, yellow, green? The water was this far from where it gets the light turns green. That's impossible.
Well, unfortunately, it is possible, and
Well,
it all comes from that particular event was, you know, a serious rain event. So all that water came from up north. You know, it was raining up north too. So it was raining up north. It comes down all the different rivers that are up north, the San Jacinto River, all the different rivers, and it floods. You know, it floods Houston pretty badly.
What
I
an
mean,
education.
we are at the bottom of the Delta.
What an education. What a geographical education when you find out that this used to be a swampland. That Houston used to be swamp area.
Mm-hmm.
Built it up to make it where they could build on it. Who knew?
Right. And every time they build more, you know, every time they build another resort in Galveston and they destroy wetlands to do it,
Yeah.
then, you know, it just gets more, it just gets worse because, you know, we all know those wetlands absorb the energy of hurricanes when they come up in the Gulf.
Wow, didn't know that. See, that's education. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the wetlands buffer the hurricanes. The water in, you know, in a natural environment, like in well, it's not that it's a natural environment, but like in Amsterdam, they have a series of canals, and the water it disperses through all the different canals. So the energy of the storms there they kind of spread out, and they tried to do something like that. They, you know, like Harry Shearer, he talks about hurricanes a lot. He did a big movie about Katrina, what happened after Katrina. And he talked about that phenomenon too, and basically just the way the Army Corps of Engineers built everything in New Orleans was a joke. So that's why that happened there.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is I find that it's not as simple as you know, to the you know, to people that aren't from here. It's one of those things where you're going to say, well, then, I mean, if things just keep on flooding, why do you even live there? Why don't you just move? You know, because it's not as simple as that. I mean, we have history here, we have family here, we have our lives here, and it's just not. We just can't do something like that. Not all of us can, you know. And so I guess I mean, if you are native or you move here, you got to know that this is something that comes with it.
Right.
This is just something that comes with it.
And there are a lot of people moving here from California, New York.
Yeah, you gotta, you
They're
know,
coming.
you gotta, you gotta take pity on them folks and help them out. Maybe they'll buy you dinner. I
I'm
don't
going
know.
to sell them some real estate.
They got that money. They got that money.
I'm a Houston ambassador. I mean, I'm not even a Houston native. I'm from, shout out to Texarkana, Texas, Northeast Texas, that the hurricane barely missed them and went farther towards Shreveport and Louisiana that way. It did the same thing for them that it did for us. It made a little turn just enough to them avoiding a lot of head-on hit. But I always tell people that about Houston, what makes Houston great is the fact that it's the climate. Yeah, people talk about the humidity, but we're in the top 5 warmest climates in the country. Like if you don't do cold, you don't have to worry about cold in Houston.
Oh, you don't. Yeah,
It's a whole different topic, apple and orange discussion. But it's kind of like living in a sauna sometimes. If you like a sauna type treatment, maybe maybe it help you with some other issues. But
why I look so beautiful.
Yeah,
the constant sauna.
People with respiratory issues do better in climates like here. And so for health reasons and the diversity of and the opportunities are insurmountable here. Even with the COVID and all that, the resources when they're divvied out nationally, we always get a chunk of the pie, a nice slice when it comes to resources to support anything that happens in a disaster way. They don't skimp and just try to send us, some ramen noodles, a couple of toothbrushes, and some
Paper towel rolls.
wipes. Yeah, they send us the good stuff. They send us the good stuff. And I work around organizations like St. John's Downtown through the Bread of Life, where they feed people tons of food weekly, and they just give it away. You just pull up and they put it in your trunk every Wednesday. Anybody from Houston, no pre-registration or anything. You just show up, open your trunk, and they put fresh produce, milk, vegetables. They just keep it there. And they're going to continue to do that as long as the COVID is going on. They're going to keep a warehouse, and trucks are going to keep lining up every week, giving away tons and tons of food to who? Houston residents. Whether they're not asking you if you're a citizen, what political organization you with, what your religion is. They just say, open the trunk, we putting food in it.
So who's giving this away? And tell us a little bit about what you've seen since COVID, since you are in the organizations that are giving stuff away. Tell us a little bit more. Tell us how things have changed in these types of operations.
So the Bread of Life is a nonprofit organization that responds to disaster type situations. But they're always there. But when cities look to distribute help to people, they only trust certain organizations that do it well. And Bread of Life has a history of doing it well when it comes to distributing things that people need. They have a big place, a warehouse where they store the things. They have and most of the people that help are volunteers. They come in and people line up for blocks and blocks, and they just make sure that they give them the things that loss of job, loss of income, and you have children. One of the most tragic things or traumatic things a human being can experience is hunger. And a lot of us in this country has never really experienced hunger. Hunger will make you lose your damn mind. Unlike being thirsty, it's not like being hungry. When you're hungry, it's painful. Your body starts attacking you when it needs food. Now, when you're thirsty, it doesn't do that, but need food for a certain amount of time, and it's a painful, suffering experience. So when people don't have food in a country that has abundance of everything, it's no excuse forever for us not to be able to provide people food, ever in this country, never. And so the money comes in, and the city government has to decide, we got $1 billion in all this stuff. How we're going to distribute it, and who do we trust third party to do it? Bread of Life is on the top of that list. It's a lot of organizations that does it. Salvation Army, Goodwill. It's a lot of agency does it, but this is more of a grassroots operation coming through a faith-based operation. St. John's Downtown, that's 2019 Crawford Street, Houston, Texas, 77002. That's every Wednesday if you need food. Every Wednesday. Get down there early. They're there till about 4 that evening. And only thing you have to bring is the need. 2019 Crawford Street, Houston, Texas, downtown.
Good to know. And I know that the Cajun Navy is also taking donations right now for the people that have been affected by the hurricane. If you're into that kind of thing. What about people that want to donate? I guess the same.
Bread of Life.
What kind of what kind of donations, volunteer opportunities are there?
Well, if you just want to put your mask on and your gloves on and want to go down there and just say, I want to help put items in the back of trunks for people, that opportunity is there. If you want it, so if they distribute on Wednesdays, of course, probably Monday and Tuesday and Thursdays and Fridays, they may have other volunteer opportunities to stack the warehouse, to move stuff around. But it's only Monday through Friday. But Bread of Life .org or .com you can Google it if you want to contribute. Trust me, this money is going straight from one place and straight into your neighbors, your Houston neighbors. It's meeting their immediate needs, and these people are showing up with kids. Mostly, you see a lot of families, and you see them from all walks of life, ethnicity, backgrounds. It's not one group of people that you see that need these services. The COVID is not biased. It's just not, and it affected us in ways that it was unpredictable. And unless you watch a lot of movies like me, like The Walking Dead and the Postman and anything that Mel Gibson played in, you're really in shock right now. But me, I'm like, oh, it's like I knew it. I seen this movie.
And Stephanie, what do you think that we can do to prevent ourselves from getting in trouble when the next disaster comes down the road?
Well, really all you can do is be prepared, honestly, and keep track of your peeps. I think that the whole thing when Harvey was happening, the coolest thing that was going on was that we were relying on social media to keep track of each other and to get information back and forth rather than the general media, because the general media, not that I have a distrust of them, I don't, but I do know that they will scare the pants off of you. Because they go for the the exciting, the sensationalism, when sometimes we just need the facts. We just need to know what's really up, and don't freak us out. Just let us know. So find a reputable news source that you can trust. Like I'm gonna plug them right now. I think they're called Space City, and they are no nonsense.
Space City
with the
weather.
Yeah, Space City weather. They're great. They're without all the everybody kiss your ass. Anyway, whatever, you know what I mean. So there's that, and there's some new inventions that are really really cool. If you're afraid that you're going to lose your power, they now have like coolant fans. They're about $50 that you can. They're rechargeable USB. You charge them up. You put some ice in there or water, and it's like a swamp cooler, and it can cool a whole room for people that This is Texas. We spend summer obviously going from one air conditioned place to the next. That's that's the game of leapfrog. So you're really concerned about your people that without the power and the electricity, is a lot of it is like, okay, I can see in the dark because we're part cat, but I cannot take that heat. So that's something that you're going to want to do. And pro tip is freeze your water. If you have bottled water, freeze your water, because it'll melt out and you can drink it that way, and it'll also keep your refrigerator cooler. If the power goes out, keep your food cooler longer. So, and also another last one. If the food's gonna go bad, it's time for barbecue. This is Texas. We love a barbecue. After it's over, bust out the grill and go to town.
Oh, that's
invite your neighbors.
That's right.
That's what they got.
As many neighbors as you can.
Yeah. Of course, social distance, and I forgot the COVIDs. Yeah.
What about public initiatives like the Ike Dike, like some of the reef barriers and things that they've proposed that they were going to do out in the Gulf to try to keep the waters out, but they haven't. And then, if you really think about one of the things that ProPublica a few years ago did a story called, I think it's called The Other Ike. And it was about if an Ike were to hit right up the ship channel. And they talked a lot about refineries and things like, if you don't know, in Katrina, when the water hit some of the refineries, it would lift those oil tankers right up off of uh, their seats and
Wow.
and drag them a mile up the road, leaking oil and gas and toxic whatever all the time. So I really think that it would be a really good thing to do the Ike Dike to give us some sort of protection against this event happening, were it to happen in the future. I'm sure once it does happen and there's toxic sludge all over Houston, we'll all say, "Why didn't we do this?" But why don't we do it now while we're still not covered in a greasy slime pit?
I just think it's that whole thing out of sight, out of mind. That once we clean up again, there's the 2 week news cycle. Here's the next crazy disaster, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why nothing really happens, which is sad, which is a tragedy. And I'm learning, as I become an adult and I have a family of my own and I'm on the suburbs, is that as much as you know, we got to help ourselves. We got to help ourselves and our neighbors, and we can't really depend on. I mean, we can vote and we can make initiatives and we can start writing campaigns and have a bake sale, and that's going to do what it's going to do. But ultimately, we just got to prepare ourselves. We got to help ourselves and our neighbors, and do the best we can. Um, I'm not a politically inclined person. I have friends that are much more, in the game, and if they're like, okay, this is what we need to do, I'll do it. I'll sign it. If I can be there, I'll be there. Um, so once again, it's a trusted source. You know, who are your people that are out there doing that fight? Doing the groundwork. Because we all have something that we can do, that we can contribute. You know, I can't be out there with a mask on throwing things at the man anymore. I got a kid. You know, but I can make a meal for somebody. Or I can give a ride to somebody.
Yeah.
So I think it's that. I don't. That's the closest thing I can get to an answer.
I think it's a good answer, and I think it is true that recognizing that our institutions might not be there for us for a while is a serious, realistic thing to observe. If you're waiting for the government to come and save you, you might want to get on a boat and start saving people yourself.
That's why I think what the Cajun Navy is so badass. Those guys are out there. You know, there's some people they'll run to the fire.
Mhm.
Those adventure types. They got the boats and stuff like that. They're gassing up and with their trucks, and they're like, "Let's go do it." You know, good for them. Good for them. Happy for them.
Danny?
I think that it's so much irony in tragedy, and that if you live long enough, you realize the best things that have ever happened to the United States, and sometimes globally, often happen after something really terrible happened. I mean, some people are living their best life because of Katrina right now. And I don't want to hyper spiritualize it, but we're never really in control of anything. I mean, it's such a fragile life that we have, that of any of us Americans take for granted, and have this sense of entitlement that 350 million people control 7 billion people. And that gets lost in translation, that there's 7 billion people on the planet. Put 350, go back to your old school mathematics school and divide 350 million into 7 billion and see how big and how bad you are compared to that number. You know, just like our lives are fragile, as a country, we really are fragile. North America makes a small portion. And we feel like if we fail, everybody else fails. That's not true. Life will go on without North America if something happened to North America. And I don't think we realize that we take that as Americans, which I am very, very grateful and humble that of all the places I could have been born, it was in America, out of that big place. Because the odds of being American is like a crapshoot, because it's the big world. So I'm grateful that I won the lottery and I was born into America. But I also realize there's other people out there, think different, live different, and is just as happy where they are as I am where I am. So I love the red, white, and blue, but we're just part of not the American race, the human race. I digress.
Go, Stephanie.
Oh no, I was just like,
you
I feel
were
that.
saying
I was feeling that. Yeah, I was feeling that. Boy, I'm showing my age. How about I'm doing that one? I might as well just say, oh,
raise the roof.
Radical or
raise
rad, you know.
Raise the roof. That's what it is. That's what they call that. Raise the roof.
Yeah, raising the roof.
Well, and I think I was going to bring up too, since we've got just a few more seconds here, that the whole idea of I'm shoving my cat away and you're grabbing yours. That shows how different
It's
we
a
are.
brand new one. That's fine.
Y'all didn't say we had green cats.
Right.
Cat bomb.
But
Okay.
But during Harvey, a lot of people came out and started doing self-rescue, gathering supplies, getting supplies to the right people. And as soon as the Red Cross came in, they started throwing a lot of that stuff out, which was because they wanted only their sort of sanctified donations. And it was really distressing for a lot of people to see that
wow.
the home organizing that they were doing was sort of shunned by the Red Cross. The Red Cross came in like all these natural, organic modes of rescuing each other, were sort of like pushed to the side so that the Red Cross could come in and do it their way. Which the locals kind of know better, I think, who needs help.
Yeah. Wow.
Just by being on the ground.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. That's like, I guess when the FBI comes to town and the local yokel sheriff is,
right. This is my
that's
turf.
in the movies,
oh, it's
right?
my turf.
Yeah,
So everybody gets the pets now.
So I didn't have a cat. Y'all didn't tell me we was bringing cats. So I mean, but I got pets. I got
okay.
Show them if you got them.
Now.
Anyway.
So much fun, guys. So glad to be here with you guys in this terrible hurricane we're going through right now.
Well, how are all the folks in prison doing, Danny? I know you work with prisoners a lot. How are they faring through COVID?
Well, the thing about it is the tragic is we have 2.1 million people incarcerated in this country. And out of that 2.1 million, 95% of the people that are incarcerated are there for non-violent offenses. That being said, meaning that most, if not all of them, will return back into society. They're going to get out. So that is the good news. We incarcerate a lot of people, but we let them out. But oftentimes, my peers, the people they return back to the same environment, same community, the same people and places that send them to prison. So when you go in, if you expect where you came from to change, it doesn't change. So if they don't, and I say I and my peers because I'm formerly incarcerated. And so that's the reason why I'm so passionate about working with St. John's Path of Freedom prison ministry. I use my lived experience of being in the system for 15 years, being on parole for 26 years, as a way to tell what happened, but how what happened got better. So when these men come back into society, I knock down all those myths and beliefs that society is here to keep you from uh, reintegrating and coming back successfully. COVID is hurting them real bad right now because they can't social distance. People are losing their lives down there. They don't, those cells are not, don't have AC. It's they get up to 120 degrees in those cells. Your cat, our pets are treated better than our citizens are when they're incarcerated. Animals, livestock are not allowed to be kept in temperatures. You can't have a chicken farm where you sell eggs and keep chickens in 100 and some degrees. You got to put them in an AC place, right? But we don't have to put human beings in an AC building. That's inhumane in 2020. But again, we're America. We're the greatest. We're the baddest. But we incarcerate more than the rest of the world.
Right.
The irony can't be lost on that. We can do better. But as long as people like me are getting out and doing something different with our lives, there's hope for people that want hope for us, that we can get out and change our lives. And so I try to put a face on change, a voice on it, and advocate with legislators to change laws and policies that affect people going in the system and barriers that are in place when they come out. I digress.
And that's why they call you the encourager. Stephanie, tell us what's going on in your world. What are you working on? What's new and exciting in the film world? Let us know.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, it's what is it? My favorite. It's at a very exciting stage. We often say here. So right now, I'm the shorts program curator for QFest. So I've been watching a lot of short films for days and days and days, and so we finally have our curated list. So QFest is going to be coming up very soon. It's September 24th through the 28th.
Nice.
And it's going to be totally online. So you'll be able to watch at the comfort of your home. So that's going pretty cool. I'm also in writing season 2 of a web series I helped co-create called Bloody Maria, which is Catholic schoolgirls by day, demonic cholas from hell by night. It's a serious drama, which it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. Good, yes. Really good fun stuff.
But with curated eyebrows, are there good eyebrows in the?
Oh yeah, for sure. So you can find that at Bloody Maria series. You can watch season 1; it's out right now, and that's about it. Then raising this cutie pie, Maria Del Gato, aka Rhea Perlman. So that's what's up.
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank Laura for not coming our way, and I hope that everybody else is safe. You guys?
Yes.
Any parting words, Danny?
God turned my wounds into wisdom and purpose. God bless. Be safe. Mask up. Don't be afraid to wear a mask. It's not for you, it's for other people.
Word up.
And Stephanie, you got anything, final passing words, parting words?
It's an honor just to be tolerated. Love you, Houston.
All right. Love you, Houston. Mark, how are we doing? All right. Thank you, guys. Peace out. You've been watching Public Affairs, Public Access. I've been your host, Staci Davis, with Danny Snead and Stephanie Saint Sanchez. Thank you so much for watching.
Love you. Bye.